Good morning. This has been a real struggle period because I'm so busy, like crazy busy, and it kind of feels like I'm drowning in responsibilities. And I've just been really sort of everything that I am is my jobs right now. So it's been a little bit hectic, and I think I've been losing a little bit of momentum and just desire to do things. So I thought I would reward myself on one condition. And that condition is that I finish everything on my to do list this week. If I finish everything on my to do list this week, I will buy myself a present at the end of the I'll buy myself two presents. First of all, I'm going to buy myself my very first stock. It's a little bit of a more expensive present. I will buy myself my very first stock in Nvidia. And second of all, I will get my iPad fixed. Thank God finally, because my iPad is crazy smashed. So those will be my two presents to myself if I can finish everything. And I buy myself bubble tea. Okay, look at this. This is our challenge. So for my remote job, I have to do all of the things that I need to do for my remote job. My personal project, I want to get 10 texts into my lit review, so I have to make sure that 10 of the texts are all jotted down, and I have notes for all of them in my literature review sort of document that I've been writing. So I have a PA job as well. I should have a meeting tomorrow, so I want to get that done, and I need to do 3 hours of work. This one keeps falling off to the side, and because of that, I feel really guilty every single week. So I want to make sure that I do a little bit of work for that this week. And then for life, clean my room, and I have some really simple stuff to finish for my master's degree that I'm already enrolled in, but I need to just make sure I get some documents together. So if I finish all that, I will buy myself a stock in Nvidia, I will fix my iPad, and I will get myself bubble tea. I almost forgot one thing, which is that I also have a research assistant meeting on Thursday. So yes, that's everything now. Janelle, where's the YouTube channel? Where's yours?
I am gonna start it.
You're gonna start it? You promise? You will? Okay, you have to.
I'm gonna start it soon. It's gonna be so epic. It's
Uh-huh.
gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be full of dark humor
Uh-huh.
and fashion and health and beauty and hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. You heard it. Yeah, you heard it here first. My famous bestie.
Yes, very good. Yeah. All right. We'll set it up.
Would you just, are you the mother? Yes, oh, I'm his foster mom.
Taking a second between Cordy Netflix movies to just reflect really quick, but it's it's actually been really rewarding to put all of my notes into my little literature review because I'm starting to see the connections that I'm going to make. I'm starting to see the gaps, and I'm just seeing all of the information coming together, and that's showing me that this is going to work. I think it's just gotten to a point in my process where at first I was like, wow, this is a big jump for me to take to try to do this, try to write this. Is it going to work? Do I have the right idea? And it's now to the point I'm about, I don't know, 15 texts in. I feel extremely certain that it is going to work. I mean, it actually seems really inevitable that this is the right solution and that it will have a big impact on the gap that I'm trying to fill. And that's been really exciting. Now it's just a matter of doing the work. I don't even feel like I need to doubt or motivate myself. It's just literally a matter of just finishing it. And that's been really interesting. I'm excited to see how this is going to develop as I get in more text. I found some new text now on the, what are they called? Neuromodulators. So I'm going to really dig into that now. I think reading the text has been guiding me down the path that I'm meant to take. And yeah, it's just been, I just feel like of all of the things going on in my life, strangely, this is the easiest. I thought this was going to be the most difficult, and yet strangely of everything that I'm doing, this seems like the simplest and just easiest, smoothest process in my entire life. And that's been a surprise. I feel like it's a bigger struggle for me to do. I don't know, even my remote job I think is harder for me than this. And yeah, so that's been interesting. But yeah, I just know this is gonna work. I already know it. The thing I doubt a little bit is I have a little bit of anxiety going into actually writing my literature review or not my literature, actually writing my academic article. I just hope that I do everything justice and that I write it well and that it sounds legitimate. And I have been a little bit nervous going into actually building the neural network because I haven't done that before. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know how exactly it's gonna go, but I just feel like everything has gone so smoothly that I don't even feel anxiety. I'm just going down the path and it's just happening, you know? I don't know, it's just bizarrely smooth. I feel like usually things in my life are such a massive struggle. Like everything is always, it's a hassle, it's falling apart. I'm like, you know, fighting and fighting for it to work. And I think this is the first thing in my life that I'm like, this is so, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right information, and nothing has gone wrong. Nothing is difficult. It's just working. And that's been a good feeling. And it just is making me feel like, it's been making me feel a sense of alignment, you know, like this is just right. This is sort of the mentality that has gotten me has I think brought me the most success and helped me to navigate my symptoms, navigate my life. But I do think that a big part of bringing positive new things into your life is sitting with some of the old and some of the darker parts of yourself and allowing them to come up and become aware of them to make space, right? And I think that you can tell yourself positive things are coming and affirm all these things to yourself and try to create a new positive reality. But if you haven't cleared out some of the gunk, there's just almost less space for the new to really cement itself into your experience. I was actually reflecting earlier on how as someone who does sort of believe in the idea of manifestation, that our subconscious mind is that our reality ends up reflecting our subconscious mind. I think that in some weird way, having to navigate these dissociative symptoms and learn how to deal with them has been a gift for me, and also learning how to manifest, learning how to change my reality. And I do think that a lot of the process of becoming successful, has just been me sitting with my darker emotions. I actually feel really extremely clear-headed right now, and I feel the sense of connection to time and things like that I actually took today off from work as a sick day because I've just been really foggy and just sort of feeling a little bit lost the last 2 days. And I've learned that when I feel like that, usually it means that there's some things that want to come up for me to sit with. And usually I in the past, when I would feel that way, I'd be like, I'm procrastinating. Why am I sort of wasting my time? Why am I so unfocused? And I've just learned that usually it's not because I'm unfocused or I'm lazy, but it's just because I need to sit and let some things come up, and it's my body calling me to rest. And this actually, again, this has been so interlinked with my work, and my work has been such a reflection of how I've learned to navigate my life and how intuitively my body felt called to, rather than to push through, sometimes to just rest and let things sort of come up to the surface, which I think is the opposite advice that we sort of get in our capitalistic society. It's usually just like, you're lazy, push through. It's like, no, sometimes you need to sit, you need to let things come up. And earlier today I was going to work and I was feeling a little bit frustrated with myself that I wanted to take a break, and I just took a break, and I actually had a lot of feelings and emotions come up from the trauma that I experienced, and it's been really healing. I think in the past it's just been giving me the sense of overwhelm of I don't really know what to do. I don't know what's happening, but I just have had such a easier time navigating it recently, and I started letting my body speak as if it was a person and just be like, wow, you were really afraid, weren't you? Or that was really distressing, and things of that nature, that I had this little conversation with myself and a conversation with these parts of me that were stuck in the past. And I feel like I had such a clear relationship to something that occurred that I haven't processed on a very deep level yet, but it was just really coming up for me for once. Usually that incident just doesn't really come up. So it was really good. And then I slept for like quite a while. I slept for a few hours, and I woke up and just felt so clear-headed, and I got so much done in the last few hours, just like a lot done in the last few hours. So that was really good. But I guess just passing it along for other people, sometimes it's not that you're lazy or that you are not working hard enough. Sometimes you need to let some emotions come up for you to sit with, and you'll be surprised if sitting with that rather than pushing through. I think sometimes you will come out the other end feeling more productive, feeling more focused, because there's space, and there's space for that reality now. It's, rather than me spending that time living in my past reality that I keep avoiding and sort of not consciously dealing with, and all these emotions that are sitting within me while I'm trying to work. I just felt like, okay, I'm here now. I'm happy to be here, because I was just having this conversation with myself about like, I know you still feel like that's real, but it's not real anymore, and you're here now. You don't have to be there anymore. It's already passed, and it's gone. And I think I didn't really realize how real it still felt for me because I wasn't actually sitting with it, but I was just not confronting that fear of that I'm still there, that it's still happening. So I think that's why I've just been feeling really present right now, just watching movies and, just feeling really focused, because I just gave myself that talk and that chance to be here right now with things that are important to me now. So yeah, just passing it along in case somebody needed to hear that. ¿Qué es pink? ¿Sí? Ahora tiene un unicornio gigante.
¿Por qué tiene un unicornio gigante?
No sé. Okay, I just got back home after a very long day, but something about me, or I guess a trait I've developed, is that I am so horrible at ending the day and just being like, okay, I'm done for the day, I'm gonna watch TV. Like, I come home, I just want to get more work done because I just want to be done. I think I've been on this sort of non-stop sort of journey that has just bled into every corner of my life recently, and it's really hard to know when to call it a day. And I'm just so motivated, I think, by the idea of just being completely done. Like, okay, all of my work is done. I'm not sort of spending my weekends on my work. I'm not doing anything like that. Like, I'm just finished for the day. I think particularly because I've been working on this really emotionally charged project, I think that it's really hard to stop. But I have been actually incredibly motivated by the incentive this week. Now, if you're wondering, how do I keep finding motivation to do something that nobody's giving me a deadline for, nobody's forcing me to do, on top of all the work I'm already doing, how on earth is this occurring? Because I was not the kind of person in the past to do things like that. Like, I was, when I was done with, I wanted to be that kind of person really bad. So I think that definitely plays into it, that it makes me feel aligned with myself, and I want to be that kind of person that will work on their own projects on the side and have their own sort of things. But I will say that I'm going to show a chart up here of this concept that I think is really important. But once you find that thing where it's like you can feel the importance of it to the world, and you can feel the importance of your work, and you feel like it's not a light task anymore, but something that's going to have genuine impact. And also on top of that, you also love doing it, and you love doing the learning, and you love just doing the tasks of it. You will find yourself pretty unstoppable, I think, because I want to do this. Like, I'm not forcing myself to do it. I get it. I'm in work, like, thinking about it, getting excited about it. I want to get out and read. Like, I am reading for it all of the time and just really excited to get out and read the next thing because it's just feels so purposeful to me, and I feel useful. I think it's really important to feel useful and to feel like what you're doing is going to have some kind of impact that you can already envision. If you can't really envision the impact of what it is that you're doing, I think it gets more sort of draining, or it just doesn't seem as interesting, because I think you see how I've set a goal for myself for the end of the week of like, this is what my hard work is going to bring me, which is the stock, the bubble tea, everything. Because of that, I feel really motivated because I know that there's going to be a result at the end, right? I think all humans are like that. We are very motivated by rewards. But for me, this project, I can already start to envision the kind of impact it will have because I have such a personal connection to it that I can already feel the impact it's having on me. And because of that, I'm excited for the impact it's going to have on other people. So I want to keep working on it, and I can already visualize what's going to come at the end. Meanwhile, I think that when you really can't envision at all what the impact will be, it just gets a little bit demotivating. And that's sort of the trouble with busy work, is I think sometimes you don't really feel like, okay, well, what's this doing? What's this for? You know? So I really like working on a big project in that sense and just having like a really big sort of end goal. But I think that if you can find that sweet spot where you found that thing that you feel really intrinsically motivated by, and you feel like you can visualize what the impact is going to be, and you can keep visualizing that impact as you're working on what you're working on, I think that's really the sweet spot, because I know this is going to be rewarding for me. No matter how it goes, it's going to be rewarding for me, and it's already been rewarding for me as I'm going along the process. So that's what you want to try to find in your life, by maybe trying to find an area that you feel really passionate about, that you feel like you found a gap. It's really cool to find a gap in your own life of what's something missing from the world, what's something that I really care about, and where am I seeing that people aren't getting their needs met? And I think that if you can angle in on that, things like people are not getting their needs met and I feel like I can fill that need, that's really, really a good place for you to be. So yeah, if you're wondering how are you doing this on the train? How are you just going out, you just came back from work, you want to work more? This is why, because I feel so intrinsically motivated by the idea of the kind of impact that this is going to bring when I'm done. And I've also just really been enjoying the challenge. I think it's good to have a challenge and to feel like I'm pushing myself a little bit, even though it's not been, like I'm not sitting here straining over everything, but it's good. I think about it throughout the day and I'm working through it in my head and it's fun. So I think don't shy away from a challenge. If you see a gap in your community, if you see something that you think, well, people haven't seen this yet, people haven't seen this aesthetic yet, people haven't really gotten this yet, and there's a gap that I could fill, you will find yourself extremely motivated by the idea of filling the gap, because it also feels like something unique and something that you can really offer the world, like that's you, and you just find this space for yourself that you can fill. I think that's really motivating, to find the gap that you yourself can fill with everything that you have, everything that you are, so I would highly recommend having a thinking session about that if you're someone who's having trouble finding motivation. If you are someone who's having a hard time knowing what next step to take in your career or in your life, or you're in a situation where you feel extremely unpassionate, and you are someone who dreams of just having a grand passion in your life, in your career, all of these things, this is my advice to you. Rather than getting hyperfixated on whatever your next step is supposed to be and getting hyperfixated on doing the right next thing, go the opposite route and visualize what impact you want to leave on the world. This is something that would be great to journal, or if you want to do a visualization meditation or something, you can look those up. I'll link some below. But when you pass, how do you want people to remember you? What legacy do you want to leave? what do you want to hear people in your community saying about you, and what impact do you want to have on them? And that is an amazing starting point. So, for example, on my end, I had zero idea that I was going to be building a neural network. I didn't even know what a neural network was like 4 or 5 months ago. But what I knew and what I was visualizing is that I knew I was being extremely impacted by this gap in our understanding of memory and of trauma. I was seeing that I and other people were being really impacted by our lack of a cohesive understanding within the legal system. People were being really impacted by this issue, and I was seeing that in psychology people were having a really big issue with this, and it was hurting me and it was hurting other people. So I had this gap sort of thrown in my face. So I didn't think, oh, now that I know this, I'm going to go out and build a neural network. But what I did know is that I wanted to fix the issue, and I wanted to add information that was going to greatly shift the way that we perceived this particular problem. So I would visualize myself doing that, and I would visualize that impact. And what happened because I was visualizing that is that I didn't stop going after it, and I didn't stop reading, I didn't stop learning, I didn't stop taking every opportunity to try to get myself in a situation where that would be the impact that I would have. And so, for example, because of that, I went along reading. I ended up reading even through the rejections that I was getting trying to put myself in the right place. For example, I ended up reading this book called Surfing Uncertainty only a few months back about neural networks, because I was taking the actions necessary even though I couldn't see where I was going with it. But I knew that I wanted to go there, so I kept reading. And because of that, I learned about the neural networks, and because of that, I started to think, oh, I'm going to do my own neural network, because that would be an excellent place for me to test out the research that I've been building just through reading and reading and reading about this issue and visualizing it and thinking about it. So I ended up leaning into that. So I had no idea that I was going to go down this route. But when you visualize what you want to see from the world, you will naturally start getting inspired, because, I don't know, it's in your subconscious mind. It's sort of in the back of your mind. You will start to take the action. So visualize the impact that you want to have, and you will end up getting inspiration thrown in your face. If you don't know what job you want yet, you don't know what you want to do yet, don't worry, that's not the important part. The important part is continuing to sit with the intention of, this is the impact that I want to have on the world. And you will get shifted there. You will, I promise you. And lastly, for this little particular rant of the video, I will say it has helped me a lot to not be talking about this all of the time with everybody. You know, I do mention it to people. I do mention that I'm working on it, but I will say sometimes when you're starting something new, I think in the beginning of this process, I would try to be more sort of vocal about, this is what I want to do and all these things. And I started to see that I would get discouraged when I saw people meeting me with a reaction of uncertainty. And it's not because they were bad to do that, but because that's just going to be a natural reaction to you having a new idea, or, you know what I mean? I think we meet each other with skepticism because that's part of the way we interact with each other, right? But if you're working on something new or something that you care about a lot, you don't need to be talking about it 24/7. And I think that it's motivated me a lot to just build the sort of internal validation and internal motivation as I went along. And if I went along telling people 24/7, oh, look at this next step, look what I just did, look what I just did, you open yourself up over and over again to hearing people's doubts and people's misbeliefs about maybe what you're doing. And it's good for you to build the internal validation and to see the worth in what you're working on. That does not mean don't collaborate or don't talk about it. I do tell people, hey, I'm working on this. I told my friends the other day for the first time and explain all the science and stuff to them. It was a great experience to talk about my project. But I just mean that sometimes it's good to build a sort of relationship to something that feels really internal. I think sometimes when you start to tell other people what you're going to do and tell people every step that you're going to take, ironically, it robs you of that final moment, because I think that we're very, like I said, we're very reward motivated creatures, right? So when you start to tell people all the time and even if they give you an amazing reaction back, I think the thing is that it robs you you're already sort of reward seeking as you go along, and you lose the end goal of the bigger reward of getting it done, because you're getting rewarded in little ways by telling people and then them having a reaction. You get me? So I think it's good sometimes to save the reactions for later, save the reactions for things are done, so then you can get that dopamine hit at the end. Because the ironic thing about dopamine is that you don't actually get a dopamine hit because you get the reward. You get it because you're expecting the reward. When you're constantly getting the sort of reaction from people, you're taking away that little part of you that's getting really inspired by the anticipation, the anticipation of what's going to come at the end. And you're killing your sense of anticipation by already getting a response from people. And often the response is more complicated than you would want. It's not going to be, oh my God, like, it's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Very rarely will you get that response from people, even if you think you have the best idea in the world. Most of the time, people will not meet you with that energy, but you're meeting you with that energy, right? And so I think that it's just important to not be killing the anticipation. The anticipation is part of the motivation, and you're going to be more motivated by the sense of anticipation than you are going to be motivated by getting the reward of telling people. You get me? So it's like once you get the reward, there's no anticipation left. Even if the reward isn't really the reward and it's just people being like, oh, that's pretty cool, I guess, it's not as fun, right? It kind of kills the vibe. So just keep it to yourself. Tell people from time to time, but you don't need to be telling every little detail of everything that you're doing. And as a last point, do not expect people to tell you that what you're doing is the best thing in the world. They probably won't. If we're being honest, even if your idea is the best thing in the world, most likely you're gonna be met with a more complicated response than you think, and you can't look at that and think it's because I suck and this isn't worth doing. You just have to know that it is inevitable that people will meet you with a complicated response that you are not maybe wanting to hear. Everybody, of course, you want people to meet you with like, this is amazing, you really did it, all this stuff. Most likely, either they're going to meet you with, I'm not sure about it, or this is pretty good, but I think this and that is like, this not, is not perfect, whatever. And even if you have a strong hunch, you think everything's great, okay, that's naturally going to be the response from people. I've stopped, when I tell people what I'm up to, even if it's people in my family who are just like, oh, that's interesting, like I've stopped expecting people to meet me with like the sort of curiosity and sort of interest that I'm meeting my own project with, because it's really fascinating to me. I'm just like, wow, this is going to have so much significance and I'm really excited about it. But I don't even take it personally, like even the tiniest bit, when I tell people and they're not like, oh my God, because like they don't know. They have no idea. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, don't get stuck on the reaction that people have to your thing, because if you're really excited about what you're doing, just keep doing it and keep rolling with the excitement. And I think it just, once you detach from the expectation that people are going to tell you, like, oh my, like, I think so many people get discouraged because they do something and they want people to be like, this is genius, this is the best thing I've ever seen, this is like, oh, you're gonna change, you know what I mean? You're gonna change the world. This is the best song I've ever heard. Whatever it is that you do, like, I think people want that from people because you feel that about what you're doing, and it doesn't mean that it's not true for people to not respond that way. Like, maybe it is absolutely amazing and great, but I just think it's just natural that a lot of people also, you're not gonna get an amazing response from people until you're done. I think part of having a vision for something is that until the vision is done, maybe you have an amazing vision, but the vision is not there yet. A lot of times it's just going to be the case that people aren't always going to react thinking, this is amazing, this is great. Sometimes you got to show people what it is that you're doing, see it through to the end, and then maybe people have a different perception. But if you're in a conceptual stage on something, if you're just telling people your idea, you're not going to probably get met with that reaction, and you can't look at that and be like, it's because I'm not good, I'm mediocre, I'm bad. You just gotta keep having faith in your idea and take the criticism for what it is, or take the advice for what it is. If you're getting advice, it's been useful. It's been extremely useful to get advice from people or have good conversations with people. That's part of the deal. It doesn't mean that you have to look at what you're doing as bad. On the other hand, if you're telling people and they're just sort of like not that excited by it, I think a lot of times I tell people what I'm doing and like no one in my family's a neuroscientist, no one in my family is a psychologist, nobody, you know what I mean? It's like they're just like, that's interesting that you're doing that, or that's cool, but they're not really like, oh my god, what is happening? This is crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, they're just interested a little bit. They're not that interested in it. That's part of the game. I'm not offended. Like, it's just like, yeah, you know what I mean? And I just don't really care, or I don't really expect people to meet me with this sort of like uber excitement that I feel doing my own work. It's just part of the game. You are going to be the most excited person about what you're doing for most of the process until you're done, and then maybe you're going to get people who are really excited by what you're doing too, you know? Okay, here I am a little early for my meeting. As you can tell, I'm soaking wet because I am waiting for my first big paycheck for my new, better paid job. And because I'm kind of between paychecks, I'm a little broke right now. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna take the bus or the train today, and I'm gonna walk to work because usually I like walking to work anyways because it's a nice walk. And of course, I wake up today and it's pouring down rain. So I had to walk through the rain, and I was like, okay, we're gonna make this positive. I'm gonna put on this Universal Studios playlist because for some reason I have this hyperfixation recently where I want to go to Universal Studios so bad. So I've been trying to like manifest it. So I was listening to this playlist, but I wanted it to be like, you know, the kind of like instrumental music you hear in the background of an amusement park. And it turned out to be like, I was listening to like the SpongeBob soundtrack, like the song from Kung Fu Panda. To add to the whole situation, my phone has been glitching out intermittently, so the screen will go completely blank and then it'll just be okay and be fine. So I couldn't even change the music, so I was like soaking wet listening to the SpongeBob soundtrack, and I was sitting there like, why do these things always happen to me? Like, why am I always in this weird sort of sitcom situation in the most random moments? Because I was like, I don't even have money to buy an umbrella or like a poncho right now, and I want to save my money to go to my other job. But then I started thinking, like, you know, one day I'm going to be rich and I'm never going to get in a situation like this again. And I feel like I'm going to think back on all these little funny moments and be like, aw, and just be nostalgic about them. So I was like, I might as well enjoy them while they're here. And I'm not going to lie, the SpongeBob theme song is kind of a banger. So I wasn't even mad about that, but I just thought it was kind of funny because I was like soaking wet and listening to SpongeBob. Look at this.
Select another option or finish and pay.
Okay, it's crunch time tomorrow. It has been the most absolutely miserable. I mean, it's been a great 2 years in its own way, but I have worked pretty much 7 days a week for the last 2 years. It never stopped. Like literally, I can try my hardest and work and work and work. I never get to the point where I'm not working like 7 days a week. This week I was wanting to work enough to basically have tomorrow off, but then my schedule is too tight. I had one hiccup one day from my phone dying, and then I like got locked out of the house. It was like this whole hectic thing, and because of that I got a little bit behind, and in getting a little bit behind I'm now very behind. So tomorrow it's gonna be crunch time because I'm determined to finish all of this within the week so that I can comfortably say that I've completed the challenge and that I'm getting all my things. So there's a lot of things that are close to being done. Like I'm halfway to getting all the conferences. I'm like most of the way through the videos I needed to watch, and I'm like 3.5 texts into the little literature review thing I was writing. So I'm close, but it's just, yeah, tomorrow we're gonna have like a full crunch time day. while we're here on a real note, I was thinking today, nothing will keep you motivated like just pure necessity, honestly. I think it's easy for me to say, well, I there's a lot of different reasons why I've been extremely motivated that I've mentioned in this video, but I'm gonna be real, as somebody who has to support myself 100% financially and who is just also, I think like a big motivation for me is also the fact that I had a really tough few years, and they're not gonna stop unless I stop them. Like I'm not gonna get to a point where everything's fine and dandy and luxurious and fun unless I get myself there. So I think it's also just been a matter of necessity of like, I am the only one who can provide that for myself, and like if I don't do it, nobody's gonna do it. And so I gotta just keep chugging along and just work to make sure that I get myself to where I want to go. I haven't had a relaxing period of life for like, I don't even know, 6 years or something like that, like 5 6 years, and I want it so bad. So it's like I feel like I'm just doing everything I can now. It's kind of like I keep telling myself I'm trying to get my homework done early in a way. And I will say that it's been motivating for me that I kind of have an imaginary deadline in my head, which is 25. I want to do as much as I can before I turn 25. Like I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to work hard, like really really go 100% all in, like no excuses, 100% just working to see how good I can make my life by the time I turn 25. That's kind of the goal for me, I think, and that's why I've really been just sticking to a lot of the things that are really important to me, sticking to this personal project, sticking to, for example, trying to get myself in a good financial situation is always going to be a goal, but you know, really prioritizing my savings and things like that over, oh, I could be, taking a bunch of trips or stuff. So, yeah, I think that's the internal goal, is do as much as I can by the time I turn 25, and then hopefully 25 on, I'm like, I want it to be nice. I don't want, the thing is that because I feel like my nervous system and my body sometimes are in a difficult place, mediocrity is not good enough for me. I want to be extremely comfortable. Like I don't want to just be, oh, things are fine, because I want to just rest. Like I want good benefits. I want to go on vacation. I want this and this and that. Like I want to really set myself up extremely comfortably because I want to recover and I want to rest. And while I'm in this sort of state, I think I've just been like, I think the momentum is so strong in me right now because I'm already so like wired, that I'm like, I might as well roll with it while I'm here and just keep the momentum going so that I can sort of, because I think if I were to, that's why I ended up moving to a new city instead of just staying at home, because I thought if I stop while I'm in this sort of really wired high adrenaline sort of mindset of having of the story arc of my life right now, it's like if I were to get off track on that, I think if I were to get off track on that and just stop and crash, first of all, I have this feeling like I literally can't. There's no timeline in which I stop and I don't continue on with all of my tasks. But also, if I were to stop, I think the weight of everything would just come crashing down on me, and I don't know. I just feel like I have to just keep on like go, 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 and then get yourself in a really comfortable spot rather than killing my own momentum. And I think I've just been trying to go with the momentum while it's here and rolling with the energy that I have. I know this isn't like a fun motivational tip. It's just me being real, because the title is going to be like how I'm keeping myself motivated. That's reality. I'm supporting myself. If I fail, that's on me. Like, if I don't stick to my stuff, that's on me. Like there's going to be like extremely real consequences for that. If I don't finish my work, there's going to be extremely real consequences for me if I don't stick to the things that I care about. Like, things like that. It's just, this is my life and I have to make sure it's good. That's on me. Okay, last day. If I don't get everything done today, I can't get all of my presents that I promised myself. So it's going to be a very, very busy day. I've woken up at noon. Well, I woke up at 11, but I stayed in bed till noon. So it's a little bit of a late start, but I have faith in myself. And I woke up with the desire to clean my room. So we're starting with...
Oh, you make me laugh, sad clown.
Okay, we've saved the best two for last. I started cleaning my room this morning, but I needed to wash my sheets. So now the sheets are washed, they're dried. It's time to clean my room. And then it's time for the part that I've wanted to do all day and haven't gotten to do all day, which is adding the texts from my iPad into my literature review. So it is currently 11 p.m. I'm probably going to end up going to bed 2 in the morning. I've been exhausted all day, feeling horrible burnout, but I want my gifts. I want my stock. I want my bubble tea, and I want my iPad fix. Definitely that. So, okay, off we go. Last two things.
Which is a concept I'm really interested in as a sleep disordered / disabled person.
Whatever you want to do in life is probably going to take about 100 times more hard work than you think. At least that's been my experience, but at the end of the day, it's, for me, my project right now has been such a labor of love, and I love to do it. I love what it could do for the world, and so I feel happy to do the hard work, you know? I think the things you love in life are just the same as any love you could have. You know, it's just the same as having a relationship of some kind, or at least that's been the case for me. It's like, you gotta commit to it, even in the hard parts, and you gotta love the hard parts of it too. I've just felt really committed through the difficulties, and I think if you go into something expecting it to be easy and expecting yourself to not have to struggle with yourself and really face yourself to get to the place that you want to go, or to have the outcome that you want, you're not going to get very far. And, you know, the same in relationships. If you go into a relationship with somebody expecting it to be easy and you give up when things start to get hard, you know, it's not going to take you very far. I don't know. I just feel like it's, you gotta approach the things in your life with a level of dedication and just commitment to the difficult moments, and just know that the difficult moments are going to be there, and it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that you should give up. It's just something to love yourself through and love the work through, and etc., etc., etc. So yeah, but again, just like any relationship, if you hate it, don't do it, because once you really love something, it's like, whoa, like, you know, you just, for me, I'm like, I could do this forever. I love doing this so much, and I don't care, you know, it's 11:39 right now. My body feels like horrible. I want to just go to sleep, but first of all, I have to complete my challenge. But also, I just love doing this. I've been excited thinking about it all day. Like, I've just wanted to do it. I think that's just something that cannot be stressed enough. My central advice, just overall, you have to love what you do. Yeah, I just love doing this. So that's why it's never feels like, oh my god, I have to force myself to do it and like motivate myself to do it. I'm thinking about it all the time. I want to do it. It brings me joy, you know? So yeah, even if it's hard work, I like doing the hard work. It actually doesn't even feel like hard work to me because I love it so much. So yeah, love the things that are going to be in your life, and just don't expect it to be easy, but you have to love the difficult parts of it too. And if you don't love the difficult parts of what you're doing, well, I don't know. Either change your mindset or maybe find something that you love doing it even when it's difficult. Okay, sometimes it's important to know when to give up. I just did my 8th text, but it was one of the most important texts. Oh my gosh, it's 2 in the morning right now. It was one of my most important texts. It took me forever to get all the notes down. It was like 3 pages worth of notes. So I'm gonna count that honestly as, I don't know what, 2 texts. Cause I was like, okay, I'll just do short ones now for the rest, but the rest of them are really long and really important texts that I've read, so it'll take me a while. It's not gonna be like a half an hour thing. So yeah, all that's left now is to clean my room, which is gonna be the most surface level cleaning of my room ever because I'm exhausted.
In the spirit of
Motivational talk on the way home, but as I drink my bubble tea. But thank you, me, for working so hard this week. I took myself, honestly, I was so exhausted this week. I was really burnt out, but I kept going, and because of that, I feel really good about my project. I actually got offered a real contract for my remote job today for the school year, so that's really exciting. And it felt really good to just work a little bit extra hard this week, and I feel like I just woke up feeling like I can take a breather. I'm gonna go home and just watch a movie for once instead of going home and feeling like pressured to work more. And yeah. And I didn't feel a drop of guilt buying myself this bubble tea. This is something I not buy myself because it's a little bit overpriced for something that I can make some equivalent of at home. But I just felt like I really earned it, and I felt very victorious putting my bubble tea straw into my bubble tea.